My family voted me out on Thanksgiving, so I handed them a folder proving they owed me $78,000. So, everyone started cheering, and I chuckled softly, then said, "Guess you won't be needing this." I put a folder on the table, and as soon as she opened it, she yelled out, "Before we carve the turkey," Natalie said, rising from her chair with this fake, smug grin, "there's something we need to say." The room went silent, forks paused mid-air, and my stomach twisted. I knew that tone too well. It was the same one Mom used when she grounded me at 14 for a party I didn't even go to. Natalie went on, saying, "We took a family vote," as she looked around like she was about to be crowned Miss Universe, "and we've decided you're not family anymore." Silence hit, then some clapping started. My cousin Laura clapped like she was at a concert, Uncle Mitch raised his glass for a toast, and even Mom laughed, adding, "Well, someone had to say it." I just sat there, shocked, staring at my now cold plate, with my blood boiling. Dad didn't even look at me, just sipped his beer and muttered, "It's probably for the best." "Wow," I said, carefully pushing my chair back. "You guys actually rehearsed this?" Natalie's grin got wider. "You've been toxic for years. We're just done pretending you're family," she said, reaching for the cranberry sauce like we were just chatting about the weather. "It's unanimous." I glanced around, nobody said a thing, not a single word. Good, I thought, responding calmly. Then I pulled a thick folder out of my backpack and set it in the middle of the table with a thunk that cut through the laughter. Natalie blinked. "What's that?" she asked. I grinned, leaning back in my chair with my arms crossed. "Why don't you find out?" She grabbed it, ripped it open, and her sarcastic smirk faded away as her face lost color. She flipped through page after page, then screamed loudly, like in a horror movie. Her chair flew back as she stood up, slamming the folder shut like it was on fire. "You monster," she yelled at me. "You messed up, twisted weirdo." Gasps spread across the table. Her husband, Joel, grabbed the folder, opened it, and his jaw dropped. "Is this?" he asked. I nodded. "It's all real," I said. "Every word, every receipt, every screenshot." A dead silence fell over the room. You could hear a fork clinking in the kitchen. Mom's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. "You were so sure I wouldn't fight back," I said quietly, standing up. "So sure I'd stay the doormat, the cash cow." I leaned over to stare Natalie right in the eyes. "Your little performance is over. Want to know what's in the folder? Let's talk about how we got here first." Natalie didn't just wake up one day thinking I wasn't family. This was a long time coming, built up over years, comment after comment, betrayal after betrayal. I was never their favorite. Natalie was the golden girl, good grades and a big smile. She could lie to someone's face and they'd appreciate her for it. I was different. Quiet, private, not in need of attention, and they hated it. They saw my quietness as weakness. I moved out at 19, paid my own way through college working 2 jobs, never asking for help. Meanwhile, Natalie flunked out of 2 majors and found herself in Europe, then came back and married Joel, the living, breathing LinkedIn profile in a blazer. I even paid for half of their wedding since my parents couldn't, though they managed to go on a 2-week trip afterward. I never complained, not even when they jokingly called me the family accountant. I kept helping, paying for Dad's dental surgery, sending money when Mom said the heating bill was overdue, even helping out my cousin Laura's tuition when her scholarship didn't come through. They'd say, "Thanks, sure," but with that tone that implied I had nothing better to do since I don't have a family of my own. That was the perception, single, no kids, just me, my work, and my dog. They thought that meant I was free to bail them out constantly. Natalie treated me like her personal safety net. Whenever Joel lost his job, there was a call for a loan. When her car broke down, she's like, "You make 6 figures, what's 2 grand?" Even therapy for her kid when it wasn't covered by insurance. Guess who got the call? I always helped because I thought it was family. But soon, helping turned into obligation, then expectation, then demand. It all started with little jokes at dinner that had a double meaning. You know how people think it's cool to be able to splurge on fancy wine? Well, here's the scoop. I got told that I was lucky to be early to the party because, unlike them, I don't have kids to deal with. One even joked about wishing they could stay late at work to dodge their husband, and that's when things started going south. I got hit with, "You're so cold, that's why you're still single," along with a slew of comments about not understanding real stress, having a real life, and being bitter because no one needs me. But funny enough, they needed me financially, all quiet like, behind closed doors. Fast forward to this text from Natalie saying, "Hey, can you co-sign a small business loan? Joel and I want to start a wellness cafe." I was like, "No, Natalie." And just like that, a cold silence followed. That was 3 months ago. Since then, the vibe has been frosty. Mom stopped calling, Dad replies with one-word texts, I wasn't even invited to the last family dinner, and Natalie blocked me on social media after I shared a post about cutting out toxic folks. But instead of moping, I started gathering evidence, literal receipts. See, I've been keeping track. In the past 5 years, I've sent nearly $78,000 to family members. Yeah, $78,000. We're talking $8,000 for Joel's rehab, $2,300 for Natalie's emergency dental work, which turned out to be those fancy veneers, $1,500 for Dad's back surgery, $12,000 for Mom's credit card debt, $6,000 to get Laura settled in college, and $4,500 for a so-called family emergency that was, in reality, a trip to Cabo. And there was more than just these one-off gigs. Not a single offer to pay me back, and when I stopped being a cash machine, suddenly I was the problem. So, I got organized. I put together a folder with all the transfer confirmations, messages, and emails demanding money. Screenshots of Natalie calling me a cash cow with no spine in some private comment thread she didn't think I'd see? Check. That's what Natalie spotted when she opened the folder, and yeah, she was livid. Everything was laid out clear as day, fact by fact, line by line. When the rest of the family saw it, the room went silent. Mom looked like she was about to pass out. Joel saw a note about $4,200 on Natalie's card at a hotel with someone named Alyssa and asked, "What's this?" I didn't even need to say anything. For the first time, I wasn't defending myself. I was just showing them the truth. Mom, in a shaky voice, asked if I kept a record of everything. I coolly said, "Someone had to remember since you never did." Natalie was pale, trying to argue about privacy and rights, but I pointed out how she just disowned me in front of everyone, and they all clapped. Now she was upset that I had receipts. Joel, flipping through the folder, asked about Santa Monica, which got Natalie defensive. "Who's Alyssa? Why a hotel for 3 nights on my card?" Mom tried to calm everyone down, but I was having none of it. I brought up the time she called me a parasite while cashing my check. She tried to blame it on stress, and I shot back that every time they were stressed, I bailed them out. But the moment I said no, I became the villain. Dad, who had been quiet, finally spoke, saying I was making a big deal out of nothing. I told him he let this happen for years because it was easier than confronting them. Natalie slammed her hand on the table, accusing me of being bitter because no one needs me now. But I calmly corrected her, I wasn't bitter, I was done. Natalie mocked me for being dramatic with my folder and screenshots, trying to paint me as a control freak. But I pointed out that she only cared when I was footing her bills. I finally broke down that every help turned into an expectation and, when I stopped, they ousted me. My voice cracked, not from sadness, but anger. They didn't want a brother, they wanted a walking wallet. Joel stood there with the packet in his hands and asked Natalie if it was true, while glancing over at her for answers. "So, what's all this about?" Natalie shot him a look, but for once, she didn't have a comeback. No fake tears, no dodging the issue, just silence. "You lied to me," he said, talking about the hotel, the money, and the whole deal. "You made it sound like he was crazy." "I had to," she blurted out, "he was making everyone turn against me." "I wasn't doing that," I chimed in. "You managed that all on your own." The room went quiet again. Then my mom leaned forward, trying one more time, her voice softer. "Sweetie, maybe we overreacted, but we're still family. Families fight. Let's just get over this." I cut her off. "You're not listening," I said. She blinked. "I'm not looking for peace or asking for forgiveness. I'm telling you I'm done." Natalie rolled her eyes. "Oh, cut the drama. You've said that before." I met her gaze. "Not like this." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out another envelope. "What's this now?" my dad asked, sounding really tired. I tossed it on the table, and Joel snatched it up before it slid away. He read the first line, and his eyes went wide. "What's this?" he muttered. "I'll tell you," I said. "Power of attorney for Mom? Gone. Medical proxy? Gone. Emergency contacts? Removed. I've signed all the paperwork, I'm no longer legally or emotionally responsible for any of you." My mom gasped, "You're cutting ties, completely?" "Completely," I answered. "Starting now." "You're being selfish," she said, tears forming in her eyes. "Sure, we messed up, but we're still your family." I turned to her, my voice calm but firm. "No, you're not." I grabbed my coat, gave them one last look, and walked out, leaving them with a cold Thanksgiving dinner and some hard truths. It was tough, but as I stepped off their porch and into the chilly night, I felt something shift inside me. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I didn't head straight home. I stopped by a lake I used to visit as a kid, where Dad would take me fishing. I sat there quietly, taking in the calm water. For once, there was no guilt, no pressure, no one needing anything from me, just peace. The next couple of days were quiet. By the third day, the texts started coming in. First, a missed call and voicemail from my mom. "Do you really mean it? We were upset, but we're still your family." I didn't reply. Then Natalie sent a text. "Do you even get what you've done? Joel's filing for divorce. Are you happy now? Something's seriously wrong with you." Then my dad chimed in. "You went too far. We all said things we regret, but what you did was extreme. Your mom's a mess. Come fix this." I didn't respond to any of them, and surprisingly, I didn't feel guilty. I expected to be up all night, questioning my decision, but instead, I slept better than I had in years. No more waiting for the next blow, no more late-night Venmo requests disguised as emergencies. For the first time in decades, I could actually hear myself think. I started waking up early, going for runs, taking my time making coffee. I even made appointments I'd put off forever: dentist, doctor, even a therapist. Not because I was broken, but because I was free to take care of myself. I updated my emergency contacts, removed my parents, changed my passwords, and froze any joint accounts they had access to. I blocked Natalie everywhere. It wasn't about revenge anymore, it was about closure. A week after Thanksgiving, I got a text from Laura, my cousin who cheered when they cut me off. "I didn't know you paid for my tuition. I'm sorry. I just followed the crowd. You were always the one who truly helped." I didn't reply, but I read it a couple of times. Then came another surprise, a message from Joel. I filed the papers. Everything in that folder was true. She cheated, lied, manipulated, not just you, but me too. You made the right choice. I should have left sooner. I didn't see that coming, but it meant a lot. A few days later, I did something I hadn't done in ages. I applied for a job in another city. Not because I was running away, but because I was finally free. No more "you should stay close to home" or "who's going to take care of them if you leave." I started reconnecting with friends I'd neglected for years, people I'd avoided because I was always knee-deep in family issues. The wildest part? Some of them saw my story on Reddit and reached out just to say, "We're proud of you." That took guts. No one asked for money, and no one made me feel guilty. So, I was feeling a little guilty, but nobody tried to sugarcoat it for me. Everyone kept it real, supporting me and keeping things simple and honest. At one point, someone asked me, "Don't you regret it?" I paused, thinking, and Vince chimed in, "I only regret not doing it sooner." That pretty much summed it up. But, with people like them, things rarely go smoothly, especially when kids start noticing you're not around. After Thanksgiving, life was peaceful, like eerily calm. No calls, no guilt, just quiet. Then Christmas rolled around, and on December 22nd, I got a text from my mom. It was just a photo of their living room with stockings, a half-decorated tree, and a big empty spot where gifts usually piled up. It had a caption: "It doesn't feel the same without you. Ellie keeps asking why Uncle isn't coming." I stared at it for ages. No apologies, no owning up, just that same manipulative vibe. It was like, "Look what you've done. See who you're hurting." I didn't reply. Natalie's call came the next day, December 23rd. I let it ring. She texted, "I know I messed up, but don't punish everyone. Please, come for Ellie. She misses you." Then, almost immediately, "Also, Mom and Dad are behind on their mortgage. Thought you'd want to know." And there it was, the guilt trip wrapped in fake niceness, ending with a favor. I blocked her number on the 24th. Later, Dad texted, "You made your point. We get it. But enough's enough. We need help. We're still your family." That night, I sat alone by my fireplace with a glass of wine, looking around my small apartment. No tree, no noise, just me. Everyone said this solitude would ruin me, but for the first time, I felt grateful for the peace. But it didn't stop there. January came and an unknown number called. Out of habit, I picked up. "Is this Daniel?" a guy asked. "Yes, who's calling?" I said. "Mark," he replied, "calling for your father. He said you're the head of the family trust." I froze. "I stepped down 2 months ago," I told him. "It's all legally settled." He paused. "Oh, your father said he couldn't reach you and asked me to look into options." Of course, they did. Natalie and my parents were out of options. The ATM was closed, and the safety net was gone. Time to get creative. I hung up without another word. Then February hit, and a handwritten letter with no return address showed up. It was my mom's handwriting, all 3 pages of it. The first page was full of regrets, saying things like how they never realized how much they depended on me. The second was all about guilt, Dad's health, Natalie being lonely, concerns about Ellie. The third page? The kicker. We're selling the house, but we're underwater on our mortgage. Just a bit of help, and we won't ask again. Do it for your dad and the family. I sat there with the letter for a long time, letting myself feel the weight of it all, the responsibility, the guilt, the urge to fix things. But then I folded it up, walked to the kitchen, and tossed it out. They weren't asking for help, they wanted their access back. They didn't want me, they wanted the version of me who couldn't say no, who quietly paid, sacrificed, and suffered. But that version of me is gone. I'm done being their scapegoat, their cash cow, or the duct tape for a broken family. The shocking part for them? I can function without them. I got a new job, moved to a bigger place, and started over. I even volunteer on weekends, not because anyone needs me, but because I want to. I built a life where no one calls at 11 p.m. to cover for mistakes they won't admit to and where I'm not penalized for being independent. Kindness isn't used against me anymore. I don't regret helping them, but I do regret not stepping away sooner. Want to know what true peace feels like? It's not about being surrounded by family, it's about being free from those who only call you family when they need something. And oh, update, I didn't think this post would blow up. I guess I just needed to get it off my chest. I put it somewhere around here, but I've read every little comment from people saying I was brave, and honestly, those folks don't deserve to have me in their lives. Thank you, because I didn't realize how badly I needed to hear that until it happened. And for the few who wondered, what if they change? I've wondered that too. It's been months since I cut them off, after the folder incident, the yelling, the silence, and the letters. I kept hoping someone would get the hint, reflect, and say, "We're sorry." But nope, that didn't happen. They went quiet for a while, then got sneaky, turned desperate, and eventually went back to being mean. But guess what? I'm free now. Since then, I've moved, got a job that lets me sleep at night, and started real therapy, the kind where you stop trying to fix everyone else and start learning to be okay with yourself. I cook for myself, sleep better, enjoy the outdoors, and don't jump when the phone rings anymore. And yes, I think about Ellie and what she's learning, what she'll grow up thinking is normal. But I also know this, I'm proof that someone can finally just have enough. A few days ago, I got another handwritten note from my mom. It just said, "We are still family." No apology, no change, just the same old bait. And for the first time, I felt nothing. No anger or sadness, just nothing. I tossed it and made dinner instead. I'm back here because this place gave me unexpected clarity. Strangers saw me more clearly than my own family ever could. So here's my question. Was cutting them off the right move, reducing my load, and finally saying no with confidence? Was I too cold, or just tired of keeping everything together on my own? I'm not sure, but I do know this. For the first time in my life, I'm not just surviving, I'm really living. Thanks for reading, for still listening, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the notification bell to stay in the loop with more real life stories.